But after a while, I started saying every time I create work here, we send to the radio stations. But sometimes we'd send something, it doesn't sound the same on air. So I started getting curious, what happens on radio? So I call Michael Oye. He's at Capital. I tell him, Michael, me, I want to come work at Capital FM. Remember, this is the station I've been listening to all my life. Everything I know about sound, it was the first place I ever had hip hop, first place I ever had a Kenyan song. So I tell him, I want to come work there. I said, for real? Yeah. So I leave it at that. No. Then one day he calls me, hey, Julian, there are vacancies. She said, you want to be a producer? I said, yeah. So I said, come. So I go. So I go there the first day, I'm starstruck. Can you imagine? This is the year 2002. The breakfast show is Phil Matthews, Julie Gishuru, Farid Kimani is there, Jimmy Gath is in the evening. Did
you say Julie Gishuru?
Yeah, Julie Gishuru was to do the breakfast on Capital. So it was just insane. Sean Cardovillis is a producer. Fidel Maithia, who is a star actor, who I keep joking is a producer. There's a guy called Ricky Mukunga, who's a producer. DJ Adrian is on the 1 and 2s. Homeboys Radio is just starting. Homeboys DJs are just starting to emerge. Pinye is
not Homeboys Radio.
Yeah, Homeboys DJs at the time. It was just a crazy times. So I walk in. So I go for an interview. I'm told, yeah, do you have any experience producing? I say, I have some experience, but it's intimidating. You know, it's Capital, it's full of jungus. It's just something else. So when I enter the studio, it has probably the simplest studio I'd ever entered in my life because, of course, it's a broadcast studio.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this is it. Just a computer, a mixer, and a microphone. Hey, first thing I do, I rewire the studio. Day one. Because I realized you guys have got it all wrong. You're patching this, your mic should be this, that's why your sound, I rewire the entire studio. So they're like, what's up with this guy? So I re-rig the studio. I just start working on the system. Then they had a digital system. Remember me, I've been doing Pro Tools for years. Logic for 4 years now. So there's nothing I don't know about these systems. So these guys all this time, I've been using one track. Let's do the copy. I told them, guys, so I just changed the system there. And in a week or two, I was running that place. I knew what I was doing. And then I started learning how to produce radio, broadcast.
Hold on. So you quit?
Oh yes, I quit Bruce. I just told him. Now you see, when Capital came through, I went and quit from Bruce.
Okay, let's even before we get into Capital, two things.
Yeah.
First and foremost, unfortunately, Bruce is no longer with us.
Yeah.
So rarely do I get to interview people who've had that much time with them.
Yeah.
With Bruce. And because I can't get Bruce's history, can you tell us who Bruce was? Because you see the heritage of Bruce from what you know.
Bruce's story is long. I mean, that's an interview on its own. But basically, Bruce Odyambo is in Majengo, goes through school, primary, high school, then starts doing a band scene. Then Bruce had an uncle who owned clubs in Coast, some of the bigger clubs. I'm talking of Casablanca, Cash Arena. Some of those clubs are owned by his uncle. So Bruce is really exposed to the music scene and stuff. Starts learning to play instruments and joins bands. Bruce Odyambo toured for like 10 years, Europe, with Safari Sounds. It was a serious band. And those days you had like the Mushrooms, Safari Sound. There were like 2-3 Kenyan bands. So Bruce is this guy. He tours around the world. He makes his money, comes back, and now sets up a studio. And that's pretty much Bruce's sound. But Bruce pretty much, there's no one who... So Bruce is like, I would say he was a transition between the era of the original, the polygram, polydo sound into this modern age. Bruce was kind of that link. He's one of the few people who transitioned over. So Bruce had links with the DS Sounds, Kamarus, all those guys, and then now was doing the new urban sound. And then he was those guys who he pushed the envelope, quality, he never joked with technology. So I would say Bruce is the one who kind of pushed us into the modern era of production in Kenya. Because he bought stuff that, so just put into perspective, the Pro Tools I was using is the Pro Tools Timbaland Dre were using. The Logic I was using is what Bad Boy was using. At the same time, nowadays it's easier because software, but that's how serious Bruce was about equipment.
That's insane.
He had the latest and the best.
And he understood all the equipment.
And he
so
understood.
What I learned from
yeah. So Alfie taught me the sound side concept, and Alfie is an engineer by training. So he teach me, sound waves. What Bruce taught me, saying, look, doesn't matter. And Bruce was not, in fact, I can even be candid. He was not an outstanding musician. He was a brilliant producer. So Bruce created the song for the client. It would sound horrible, but he said, Julian, this is what the client wants. So we are trying to impress who? See, they have paid. Goodbye. Is our name on the credit? No. Does anyone know he did it? No. But there's money in the bank. Now, his projects, Bruce could work on a song for 1 year. Change guitar. I'm not feeling the keyboard. But that's when I learned the factory side of the industry. Now the mill. How this business is made. And then at the time, another good friend of Bruce Odyambo is a guy called Mozinderito. Running level 1 production. So Moses is the video equivalent of what Bruce was doing. The best. Saramigo is his production manager at the time, the owner of Protel Studios. So Bruce was an interesting time. I met some very interesting people when I was at Johari. But Johari was not working for me. So one of the pain points I had with Bruce is Bruce had promised me, he had told me, so I kept wanting to leave to go look for money because I was saying things are working. But you had always told me, this studio gear, I'm shifting, I'm going to hand the studio over to you. You remember me, I was looking for money to set up a studio.
Yep.
But since I started making my own money, buying my gear, I think also the need now, a point came, I felt I'd learned everything. And now I was also getting older. I was 22 now. So I'm saying now I need to make serious bucks. Now I need to start thinking about moving out. And I also had friends who are my age who are starting to get kids. And I'm thinking like, we've had, it's been fun, 5 years and stuff. And that's why I went to Capital, because I think I felt there was also a bigger trajectory there. Because it's a corporation rather than a studio. It's just Bruce and me. I'll never be Bruce's position. He's the owner.
And then let me ask you, then at this, by the time you're exiting, has Aaron entered?
Yeah, so Aaron has started coming around. Ambrose from Mandugu, DJ Space of MOB DJs had started coming around. So me, I was kind of transitioning. They used to kind of hang out and they would be called in as session artists and stuff. So me now had started kind of transitioning out. Then I went to Capital FM, and at this time...
And at Bruce's, what are some of the music you worked on?
Man, I mean, we did so much. I don't even remember. But we did a lot of stuff. But that's why I did stuff with Red Sun. I did stuff with Nameless. I think that's why I did remixes with... and by the way, at Johari Clef is where Rekebisha Innovator was created.
I was going to the name Dr. Rekebisha.
That's where that came from. That's where that came from. And what we did is, there's one time, remember I told you about the More Money, More Problems track?
Yeah.
So a DJ, most likely DJ KD, or it must have been DJ John Rabba. I think he had the instrumental. I'd never even heard these things exist. So he gave me the instrumental and I was blown away and I recreated it. And I did stuff with it and I had fun. Another thing I used to do in my early production days.
But why Rekebisha?
Now I'll tell you why.
Okay.
So the reason was I used to get songs, any song I like, and recreate the entire track. That's how I learned now from music and understand. And over time you start realizing, there's a formula, there's a sequence and stuff. Now Rekebisha, what we did at the time, I remember I've just joined Capital FM, and I can't even remember where we did that. I remember I have a studio now. So I get the track. Then at Capital FM, I don't know where I got the idea from, but we had, because of news, we had voice clips of news. I listen to news today. Uhuru Kenyatta said this, then you hear the sound. So there's a database of, for years. Capital has been there over 10 years at the time, and I work there. So I think I've been idle. So because I used to work the night shift, so I'd go in at 8. My shift was 8 to 8.
And what exactly were you doing at Capital?
I was a producer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what does it mean to be a producer?
So producer is not even the radio producer as we know it now. Basically, in fact, I would say you're more of a production assistant. So you edit clips, create the station IDs, all other sound other than music. Load the Rick D's show, load stuff to play. So basically formatting and programming, yeah. And at this time, I don't even know where this is leading.
And are you making more money?
Yes, now I'm being paid 20 Gs. So you can imagine this is almost 120% from my previous. So I'm in the big leagues now. And I work in laundry house in a fancy building. But the hours were long, so at night I would be idle and bored. So I remember there's one time Moi made a really funny speech, and I listened to it and I found it so funny. Then that day I think I was listening to a track. So in fact, now that I think about it, the first song I ever did under the Rekebisha Innovator moniker, we used the More Money, More Problems track, then overlaid Boy's voice on the track.
Whose voice?
Moi, President Moi. And he was like rapping.
Yeah.
So we chopped up. So I worked on it. I used to work on it partly at Capitol, then would go back, because remember Timo is still at Samawati.
Yep.
And we go do mixing and stuff. Now, in those days, it was scary to do anything like that. So we used pseudonyms out of fear, because we couldn't say it's Julian.
Yeah.
Then what if we are arrested?
Yeah.
You know, this time Ridiculous is just starting out, so people are still testing the waters. So Innovator had already started using his name Innovator, I think. I didn't have a name yet, and for me it was a remix. So remix is basically changed. So I said, in fact, I think my name was originally meant to be DJ Remix or something. Then I said, no, let me use Swahili, at least that
sounds better.
It's unique. So that's how Rekebisha came. It was purely for that track. There was no intention to have it longer than
and did
that.
you release that track?
We did release it. Now here's the thing. When we did Rekebisha, now Rekebisha Innovator Presents, remember I work at Capital FM? I have all codes and access to the platform. I programmed the song throughout on Capital FM. Yep. That's how that song became big. Because now I started understanding how media worked.
Yeah.
How, if you knew the presenter, you are played more. So what did I used to do? I just, every day in Hits Not Homework, I used to add the song after news, after 7, because I knew that was a prime slot. So you'd find Jimmy, I mean, after news plays, it was an automated system. So the song just starts playing. They play and say, oh, amazing track, I don't know who these guys are. And the assumption from the presenter, if it's in the system, it's gone through the 10-step approval process. But ultimately, I am the one who loads. That's how that song became big. I used to put it in every night. So then there was vibe, there was buzz. Then now, just to flash back, remember when I was a kid when I entered a matatu? Sema one day I enter a mat, Dr. Rekebisha plays in a mat. That I could have died then. My song playing in a mat.
You come 360.
Yeah. Then I see a mat called Rekebisha. Me now, I said, but now I've left music, unfortunately. So musicians are divas. They don't want to pay. So now I'm not interested. Then it hits me, wait a minute, I can do remixes. So that's how Rekebisha began. And I just used to do remixes. I had DJ friends because I was in radio. So guys just to get me a cappellas. So I was just doing international songs. So the one track I did that kind of now launched me, Missy Elliott's Get Your Freak On. So first I had that song till today.
I remember the song. You did it. Okay, no, just finish.
Yeah, so I hear the Get Your Freak On track, and me, I'm like, what is this? I mean, Timbaland has gone to Mars and started a new sound. Me, I was blown away. So I liked it, but the Kapuka sound was bubbling under. So I said, let me Kenyanize this thing. So I did it. I did a remix for Ludacris. I did a remix for Missy Elliott's. I did about 3 or 4 mixes, and I think I did them in Johari Club because I still used to go visit Bruce once in a while. My off days, we were still cordial. So one day he was not around, he had traveled. I cut 4 remixes in one night because I didn't have time. So I cut because he can't find out. See, I'm at Capital Radio. I put them in. Missy Elliott's took off. So most people actually think Rekebisha is a DJ, and I cannot sequence 2 discs to save my life. But I understood Logic, the software, and I knew how to program it. So the track was huge. Till today, I hear it. So I sent it to Missy Elliott and Timbaland and to Colombia. I sent the track to them.
You have no limits.
And because now also the remix culture had started coming out. So people would release a single. Then they would have 9 versions. Island version, house, I don't know, groove, funkadelic, jam, because they realize now a song, it was just the song, but you're not going to hit in South America if you don't have a Cuban vibe or a rumba vibe. So I started saying, maybe this is my ticket out again, because I knew one day I'll do the whole thing. So I sent to them, then they responded. Now email is there. I don't know which label she was on at the time.
Hit me. Hit me. Yeah. Hit me.
Dr. Rekebisha.
Give me some news. Yeah. Give me some news. Yeah. Give me some news. Mississippi putting it down. I'm the hottest round. I told y'all mother, y'all can't stop me now. Listen to me now. I'm lasting 20 rounds. And if you want me, then come on get me now. Is you with me now? The biggie bounce. I know you dig the way I switch my style. Holla, holla. People sing around. Now people gather round. Now people jump around. Get your freak on. 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 Is that your chick? People you don't know. Me and Timberland been high since 20 years ago. What the dealio? Now what the drillio? If you wanna battle me, then let me know. Got the feeling, son. Let me throw you some. People, here I come.
So they wrote back to me, they told me, hey, yo, it's good, we've listened to it, but it had a very nini tone. It had a very kind of, can I say legal threatening tone? Kind of like you, who gave you the rights to do this? You cannot monetize it. It was quite, I was like, whoa, okay, sorry. And disappear, delete that email, Yahoo or Hotmail account. But I tried, but I realized this won't work. So what I said is, let me start doing. So I've done tons of remixes for local artists. So an artist would release a song, they send me the a cappella, they say, please do for us a Rekebisha. So they would usually release them in parallel. And it's one of those, let's see which one will go through. Yeah, so we did quite a number of remixes.
Like who are some of the guys you worked with at that time?
Remixes I did for Wawesh, I did Nonini's Keroro remix, I did a remix for Mimo, I did a remix for P Unit, I've done a remix for Nameless, I've done a remix for Red Sun. Now Red Sun, there's this song, there's a song of Red Sun, I'm trying to remember. So there's a song of Red Sun, either Wania Cha, because Amani was on that track. Bruce had done the original. I did a remix. The remix is what was released first. Masimera's Tiedero, what you hear is the remix. That's not the original, which I resequenced. So that's how it was. So some of them I would put my stamp, Rekebisha, and stuff. Yeah, so that, but now this was more for my therapy because I was now working seriously in studios. So at the time now I'm also doing projects with Ted Josiah. So now I'm a freelance producer. So I do night shift at Capital FM till around 5 a.m. I go home, take a nap. 9 a.m. I go back to do studio work. But now I was doing as a freelance producer. So now I was working at any studio. You call me, and I had a small setup at home so I could do some stuff. So I'm doing stuff with Ted Josiah at Blue Zebra Lounge now. Studios is changed. I reconnect with Waire from high school. He's now a producer. Necessary Noise is just about to come out. I meet Prezo the first time. I was testatious guy. I didn't even know Prezo was in Extra Fat. I mean, and maybe he came to the studio. I didn't know him at the time. Then around this time now, so I've joined Capital maybe June, July. Then I get a call from a guy whom I used to work with. His name is Fred Afune. I used to work at McCann Erickson, a big agency at the time. I used to do ads for them. So he calls me and tells me there's a new team I'm forming, a new business called Royal Media Services. We are trying to set up a team to set up a station, and I need a producer. And I remember you are always a good producer. And you're the only producer I know anyway. Would you be interested in working?